am super happy to be here. I, as Zach mentioned, going to be talking about accounting, keeping your accounting in check, and the apologies for how it's a PowerPoint presentation, but then it got converted into Google Slides, so it kind of got messed up a little bit. So a little bit about myself. If you don't know who I am originally from Mexico. I'm actually mestiza, which in Spanish that is meti. So I have Spaniard, blood, but then I also have indigenous blood from the northern Mexico. I am a TEDx speaker on the topic of entrepreneurship, specifically immigrant entrepreneurship. I teach at Algonquin College. Innovation and entrepreneurship. And I just, love entrepreneurship in general. Business is definitely my love language, if that's a thing. I am the founder of Karla Briones Consulting, which is a business consulting company where I focus on diversity in business. So as an immigrant, obviously my soft spot is helping those of immigrant backgrounds to start, grow, and scale their businesses. But I've also recognized that there are a lot of marginalized communities that also need support, and I love doing that. I run 3 different businesses in Canada. Mostly in bricks and mortar, so global pet foods and retail. So I own 2 shops. And then my consulting business, I ran a restaurant, which was a COVID casualty, unfortunately. But I'm here to tell the story. And so business consultant, coach, and just a lover of all things business. So moving on. So what are you going to learn today? As you can see, I'm going to explain what are the differences between a bookkeeper and an accountant, or bookkeeping and accounting in your business. I'm going to talk about 5 mistakes that may happen in bookkeeping and any regular business, and then how to prevent those from happening. Then I'll move on into the importance of a business bank account. It's super, super important. I'll go and I'll touch lightly onto Excel, using Excel as an accounting tool. But then I'm going to introduce you to something even more exciting, at least to me, which is cloud accounting. Then I'll explain to you a few accounting basic terms. We're going to do a little demo. You're going to use your own laptops to demo a specific cloud accounting tool that I'm going to talk about. And then I'll talk about receipt scanning apps. And then I'll have a session for Q&A. But if you guys have questions, feel free to, let me know and ask them right away. Okay, so as we were talking, Shelby, accounting is going to be more than just numbers and forecasts. At the end of the day, it's going to be a tool that is going to give you, sort of the power to control your business and to know how and what you need to do in order to help your business flourish. And it's really interesting because a lot of businesses, when they're starting, they think that they first need to hire people, work on their marketing, generate sales, record a healthy profit before they start focusing on their accounting and on their numbers, where it should be the other way around. We should really start our business with a very, very strong foundation on making sure that we're keeping track of everything before it gets too busy, that we will not have the time to actually keep tabs on our accounting. The reason why we highly recommend or strongly recommend having a really good accounting system is because it's, at the end of the day, it's going to make your tax time that much easier. Your biggest stakeholder as a business owner, excuse me, in Canada, it's going to be the Canada Revenue Agency, or, CRA. And they're basically going to be the ones that are going to dictate everything when it comes to taxation rates, your deadlines to pay, and all things related to business taxes. So it's going to be impossible to adhere to all of those deadlines and all of those regulations without, proper accounting for your business. And also, let's say you get audited, knock on all the woods in the world, but let's say you get audited, you want to make sure that you have as much information about your business and about your expenses and, your revenue, so on and so forth, somewhere, where you are able to open something and have everything there so that you have all of the answers for a potential audit. For a potential audit, should you hopefully not get there. Okay, so in terms of some of the people that you're going to need within your business are going to be either an accountant and or a bookkeeper. And what are the differences between one and the other? So at the first glance, they might seem similar. You might think that they're the same person, or the same, they do the same activities, but there's actually a few main differences. So the bookkeeper is going to be the person that's going to record and organize your data, all of your financial data, like the day-to-day stuff. So that's the person that's gonna, and it may possibly be yourself at the beginning, which is very likely. But it's basically the person that's gonna enter all of your expenses, all of your revenue, just the day-to-day accounting admin activities. Now, an accountant or accounting is basically the person that interprets the numbers. They're the person that, you give them all of your numbers and they're going to interpret them for you to tell you how your business is doing, what are some tweaks that you could potentially do, and perhaps what are some of the, the issues that that person sees in your business that you could potentially improve. So again, the bookkeeper is going to be doing more of the administration, the day-to-day stuff, and an accountant will interpret those numbers and hopefully will provide a lot of guidance for you going forward. If you ever have investors, if you ever want to get a loan, grow your business, so on and so forth, the accountant is going to be very useful to provide more direction on how to do it properly. Excuse me. Okay, so that's just a very, very, very high level on the differences. And as I mentioned, a bookkeeper is usually going to do the following activities, which is payroll, if and when you decide to have employees, or if you plan to employ yourself and give yourself a salary, a bookkeeper will help you set the payroll for yourself or your employees. Invoicing, I know at the beginning we do most of the invoicing, if not all of it, but eventually, hopefully, once your business starts getting super busy, it might be useful to have somebody like a bookkeeper to help you with that. Receipts and bills, entering everything into the system. That's basically what a bookkeeper does. So, okay, so here are some bookkeeping mistakes that I've seen a few businesses do, and I know that we've all done it, me included, especially when we're just starting out. We don't go to entrepreneurship school, although I wish we did sometimes. But yeah, so I think the first mistake that I've seen is mixing business with personal finances, and it's very easy to do because because buying everything from our personal bank account is so much easier. However, it can be very difficult come the end of the year to really assess what are your business expenses versus your personal expenses without having to go line by line through all of your statements. So the recommendation is always to open a separate bank account, even if you are a sole proprietorship. Highly, highly recommend that. It'll make your life easier. The other mistake that I've seen is using an accounting software that's not connected to your banking, and I'm going to get into that. Excel is an example where everything is super manual. You have to manually enter everything onto Excel, and if you miss something, if something falls through the crack, you are going to have to go back to it and actually figure out what you missed. Another, and again, I'm going to get into that specific point in a few minutes. Okay, so I know I've done this. The number 3 is waiting until the very last minute to do your taxes. And we're coming into that season. It's February, March is the deadline to file your personal taxes if you're a sole proprietor. So waiting until the last minute when you're not organized enough, it can be a headache and you can miss on potential tax savings. So, don't wait until the last minute, but I'll give you some tools in this presentation. Another mistake that I found is like once people have a bookkeeper or have an accountant, many times I've heard this sentence, which is, I don't know about numbers. I don't know about the finances. I need to ask my accountant. Handing over all of the knowledge and all of the power to an accountant or to a bookkeeper about your numbers, it's probably something that will not benefit you greatly. And the recommendation is always to ask a lot of questions. Don't feel like you're going to ask a dumb question. There's never a dumb question when it comes about getting to know your business and your numbers better. So make sure that you're working with a bookkeeper that is used to being asked those questions and that is actually happy that you ask those questions, and that will take the time to answer them so that you are as informed as possible about your business. The other last thing is hiring a bookkeeper who doesn't know your industry. This happened to me, actually. One of the businesses that I own, it's a franchise, and I hired a bookkeeper who had no experience in doing bookkeeping for franchises. So no, all businesses are the same, and there's going to be a few that are going to be slightly more complicated than others. So my recommendation is that when you're looking for a bookkeeper, if you are an e-commerce, make sure that your bookkeeper has some e-commerce clients. If you are a service provider, make sure that your bookkeeper is knowledgeable about service-based businesses. If you're a product-based business, the same, so on and so forth. So take your time to find the right bookkeeper who has the right set of skills that you need for your business. And as I mentioned, the difference between one and the other, the accountant is basically the person that's going to interpret the numbers. They're going to forecast future, cash flow. They're going to advise you on different strategy that you need to make for your business. They're going to, if you are an incorporated business, they're going to file your tax returns on your company's behalf. If you are an incorporated business, you actually must work with an accountant at least once a year at the end of your fiscal year. And then they're going to, at the end of the day, help you with to get the most out of your business out of your tax returns. Okay. So what are some of the things that an accountant typically does? As I mentioned, I'm repeating myself over and over. I just want to make sure that it's very clear the difference between a bookkeeper and an accountant. So they're going to file your financial statements and your reports, especially if you are an incorporated business. They can help you with budgets. They can help you with the tax returns. And at the end of the day, they're going to help you analyze your business performance, analyze the numbers, and tell you how your business is doing. Okay, so now moving on. So that's the main differences. Hopefully that was clear as water. Bookkeeper, admin, an accountant's going to analyze numbers. And I did mention this at the beginning. Why does your business need a separate bank account from your personal? At the end of the day, opening a business bank account is going to save you a lot of time. Trust me, a lot of time, because it's going to streamline your business's financial records and your tax information. And at the end of the day, it's going to be peace of mind for you to know that, your business's records are always clean and accurate, because you're going to be able to open that business bank account and you're going to see, true legitimate business expenses, revenue, so on and so forth, as opposed to when you open your personal bank account, everything is in there, the mortgage, the, groceries, and so on and so forth. So it's very difficult to separate what are real business expenses versus personal. So again, I always recommend it. Okay, why? It is if you're an incorporated business, so where you went ahead and created a completely separate legal entity as an incorporation. When you're a sole proprietor, you are the business. So your person is a business. So first of all, why is it important to open a business bank account? Incorporated businesses, it's actually a legal requirement. You cannot have an incorporated business with a personal bank account. It is 100% mandated by the government that incorporated business must have its own bank account and must have its own credit card. So super, super important. Separating personal from business, I mentioned it over and over. It's going to make tracking those expenses super easy, as opposed to having it mixed with your with your personal, it's again going back to the worst case scenario is if you ever get audited, it's going to make it super easy to know what those expenses are and that revenue. And then at the end, show the world that you're a profesh, that your business has its own banking entity. But most importantly, and this is one that we don't think about, is that your business actually can also establish its own credit. So let's say, 2-5 years down the road, your business is booming, is doing amazing. Let's say I'm blue skying here. Let's say you have an opportunity to export your products, but in order to export, you need a really big quantity, and you don't have the funds to get that big quantity of inventory. So you require a business loan. It'll be much easier for your company to get a business loan if it already has some sort of credit building up or some sort of profile building on with the bank, where the bank can go back to your business bank account and take a look at, okay, what is the revenue? They can assess many things with the banking information. So it's a great opportunity for your business to establish its own business credit. If you guys have any questions or comments, feel free to ask them. Yes. Yes, anytime. Feel free to interrupt me anytime, by the way. So yes.
Many private businesses, would you do one business account per business?
Yes. So the question is, if you have many businesses, sole proprietorships, would you open many different bank accounts? That's a great question. It really depends. So I'm assuming that those businesses are not registered, or are they registered? Like, have you actually gone through the process and they're registered only under one business name? They each have their own name. My recommendation would be to have each business to have its own bank account. Yeah, again, it's the same thing, right? Because for your product-based business, you're going to have a lot of expenses and a lot of transactions versus your service-based business is completely different. Yeah, so my recommendation would be to keep them separate. And I know you have many businesses, so it might be a bit of a challenge. I know. So, so I usually would recommend to keep them all separate if they're all registered separately as well. They all have their own names, so just keep them all separate. Yeah, great question. You have a question? Yes.
So I don't want to pay those fees.
Mm-hmm.
I can't stand the fees and the exorbitant amounts for checks.
For tax? Oh, for checks. No, you don't.
But that's the baseline minimum. It's they tell you these expensive checks, and I don't want to pay. I mean, back when I was doing it, maybe $30 a month, it must be $70 now. I already paid. So is there any reason I can't just open a second personal account and put it there?
If you're not incorporated, is your business registered though as a sole proprietor? No? Okay, so you're operating under your name.
Yes.
Yeah, then you can open a separate like Tangerine or whatever low fee, no fee banking. Yes, absolutely, 100%. So long as you get into the habit of separating the finances, that would be great, especially if you're not registered, like you're not a registered sole proprietor, you're just operating under your name. Yeah, you can absolutely open just a separate business bank account. The other thing that I recommend, this is not in the slides, but when you're opening a business bank account, you can always actually negotiate with the bank. This is something people are not used to doing. But when it comes to business banking, you can go into your banker, you say, I'm going to open the business bank account. I just want the simplest one if it's a fairly simple business. The simplest ones, no bells and whistles. I don't need checks. I don't need anything. It's just a service-based business or whatever. And also, I want to see, can you guys give me the first 3-4 months for free? Because I'm just starting out, or I'm just a small business, or I'm moving from a different account, or this is my first time I'm opening a business account. You can actually negotiate that, and the banks will be more than happy to give you 3, 4, 5 months for free. So don't be afraid to ask for that. The banks are used to getting negotiated on for business accounts.
pay.
Okay. Yeah, in RBC, I think for one of my businesses, I also pay a minimum. So they've actually gone down, especially if it's a very simple bank account. They don't push checks anymore. Yeah. Yeah, I know. I don't use them either. Mhm. You need oil. Yeah.
We invoice people and they're paying by EFT.
Okay.
I guess there would be no additional impact.
Not necessarily. No, I mean it's to the point where I'm going to teach you with the. I'm going to get there, but once I teach about the cloud accounting, you are actually able to invoice through the cloud accounting, and people can pay you via the cloud accounting. And then what it would appear on their statement would be the name on the bank account, which would be your personal name. So if you want to look more profesh and you have a business name, then you would register a business account under that name. That's what I mean about profesh. Yeah, no problem. Okay, so in order to, oh, this is actually very important. In order to open, and it won't apply to you because you're thinking about a personal bank account, but in order to open a business bank account, no matter what business structure, if you're a sole proprietor or a incorporation, you actually need to formally register the business. So the business name, and it needs to formally be registered on their whichever jurisdiction. We're in Ontario, so it'll be in Ontario. So in ontario.ca where you register your business. So you register your business first, and then you go to the bank with the paper that you'll get from the registration, and you open the business bank account. Okay. If you're operating under for your business, if you're operating as an unregistered sole proprietor under your legal name, then that doesn't apply. So you could just do it as a personal bank account. But again, if you want to open a business-specific bank account, your business must be registered. And by registered, I mean the mechanical process of actually going to ontario.ca and entering the information and registering it. Yeah, it's super cheap. Yeah, super cheap. It's like $60. Yeah, 60. 5. Yeah, it's a 5-year master business license. Okay, so moving on. Okay, so hopefully now that we understand the difference between a bookkeeper and an accountant, and then the importance of a bank, a separate bank account for your business, whether it is a business bank account or a personal bank account, I want to introduce the concept of Excel accounting. Over here. So Excel accounting, and I just want everybody to see this picture and see if this looks familiar. Hopefully not, but if it does, it happens, at the end of the year when I see some eyes fluttering. Life gets hectic, right? When we're juggling our own business, and when we are everything for our business, we are the owner, we are the packager, we are the creator, the service provider, the cleaner, the everything. Sometimes receipts, our expenses, kind of get they kind of fall through the cracks. And this is what we may end up at the end of the year, to go through a box full of receipts. Or perhaps, this is what our desk might look like with our receipts. I know that I've been there before. So in order to avoid chaos like this, especially scrambling at the end of the year, trying to figure out all of your expenses, at the very least, you have 3 choices, but at the very least the first choice is to do nothing about it. And that if that works for you, that's totally fine. Second choice would be to start tracking with Excel, which I know many of you are doing already. And then the best case scenario, in my opinion, is to use cloud-based accounting software. I'm going to be introducing a few of them. One of them is QuickBooks Online, which a lot of accountants and bookkeepers are used to using. Wave is actually a Canadian accounting software. that is free. Another one is called FreshBooks. And like that, there's many, many, many of them, but I'm just kind of highlighting a few so that you start getting familiar with those names. Okay, so going back to Excel, I know that I'm gonna talk about cloud accounting, but right now, let's start dissecting Excel a little bit. It is a great way to start doing the accounting for your business. It's just whatever it is better than that, box of receipts that I showed a couple of slides ago. So keeping track of your income and your expenses on an Excel sheet is perfectly fine. It's way better than nothing, that's for sure. Using Excel is going to be super easy because most people know Excel. So recording it just a matter of like entering your numbers and that's it. And the positive thing about Excel bookkeeping or Excel tracking is that there's a lot of templates, a lot of great templates out there that you can download from the internet and start applying in your business. Now, what are some of the drawbacks that I see with Excel accounting or using Excel to do the accounting for your business? Is that it is extremely manual. You have to manually enter and categorize absolutely everything, and it's only going to be as good as your diligence of doing that. So if you stop entering the information, then that means that you have a lot of stuff to catch up on. You cannot with Excel, you cannot automate or upload banking information. So your bank statements and whatnot, you can't automate all of those expenses or all of those lines onto Excel. You can, but then you would have to manually assign everything. The learning curve, if you are not familiar with how to do formulas and how to do the additions instead of just putting numbers and then adding with a calculator, I am guilty of that. That's how I started. That's what I thought Excel was for. I would put the numbers and then I would use my own calculator until I learned that you can do the formulas right there. But anyway, so the learning curve can be intimidating at the beginning if you're unfamiliar with Excel. And I think the most important one is that if your business scales, if you start getting busier and having more transactions and having more expenses and really growing your business, it will have its limitations. So Excel can serve you up to a certain point, and then after that, you might want to think about something else. So I'm not dissing Excel. I'm just saying that it is a great tool to use, at least to get you started with your business. But eventually you might find it limiting, especially if you start getting busy and the updates on the Excel file start falling through the cracks, which is it happens and it's totally normal. So you may want to look into something else. And I really love this. At the end of the day, the best tool is the one that you actually use. You can have like the best tool with all the bells and whistles, but if you don't really use it, like you don't really apply yourself to use it, it's going to be useless, regardless if it's Excel or cloud accounting, so on and so forth. So I always recommend that whatever tool you're using, whatever tool is working for you, that you use it consistently. So, to keep all of your numbers in check. I do have a free template that you are welcome to swipe. So if you go to the link over here, which is tiny.cc/ADAAWE, you can make a copy of this template, and it has a whole bunch of all of the formulas are there, guys. You don't need to use your calculator like I did. So all of the formulas are there, and feel free to see if it's something that may work for you. Again, if you are familiar with Excel, if you're comfortable with Excel, you want to upgrade the template that you have, take a look at it and see if you like it, okay? And then you tell me what you think. Any questions so far? No, we're good? All right, so I'm going to move on. Okay, so now we're going to introduce cloud accounting and why do you need it? So at the end of the day, cloud accounting is going to be a software that you can access online. You can access it anywhere, very much like Google Documents. You just have an account and you can access it anywhere where you have internet connection. With cloud accounting, you can do so many things in that software. You can send quotes. You can send invoices. You can manage your bills as well. You can manage your receipts and you can even get paid through that accounting software all under one. It's basically what most bookkeepers, if not all, I would say most, are actually used to using. So if you are doing an Excel file and you are working at the end of the year with an accountant, you give your Excel file to an accountant, chances are your accountant has a file for you on some sort of cloud accounting software, likely QuickBooks, because that's the mostly used software with the accounting world. But yeah, so anyway, so chances are, you already have a file, or your accountant has a file for you if you are on Excel. But at the end of the day, it's like a one-stop shop for all of your needs for your business. I'm going to introduce some terms. Some people, might know these terms already, but I'm just trying to make sure that we're all on the same page here. And this is going to be important for cloud accounting, there's a term, the number one there is chart of accounts. So when you are opening a cloud accounting file, you have, as a business owner, to set your chart of accounts. And for the lack of better explanation, back in the days, I am aging myself here, an accountant would have a file or like a filing cabinet of expenses and a filing cabinet of income, right? Of like receipts for income. And then inside you would open that filing cabinet in expenses, and you would have the folder for like hydro and telephone bills. And, you would have like your little filing system for your expenses cabinet. And then you would have a filing cabinet for your clients, right? Like Mary and so on and so forth, for the people that are actually giving you money. So at the end of the day, that is what your chart of accounts is. So when you go into a cloud-based accounting system, that's one of the first, actually, no, that would be probably like the second or third thing that you would do. You'll do that right now, or you'll get to play with it. But that would be one of the main things that you would do at the beginning. Okay, so based on your business, what are some of the files that you need to open inside your expenses folder? And it might be equipment if you're a photographer. So equipment, office equipment. It could be inventory, if you have a product-based company. If you're a service, it could be memberships for or subscriptions for some sort of software, like your cloud-based software. So anyway, so this is where you actually start creating that filing cabinet, but obviously electronically. Assets, it's basically what your company owns, all the assets of your company. If your company bought a car, a company car, then that is part of your assets, and that's actually reflected in your books as well. Your liabilities, and you'll see why I'm explaining these, because once we go into play mode for the software, you'll see those terms. Liabilities is basically what your company owes. So if your parents gave you a loan for your business, that loan gets recorded as a liability, right? So it's a liability for your company. Any debts, if you have a business loan, that will be part of liabilities as well. Income, we know income, is your revenue. Expenses, we know expenses, they're your expenses. And then equity. Equity is basically what remains after you subtract all of your liabilities from your assets. So, and then that's basically what are the assets of the company. That's basically what your company owns. Okay, so these are just very, 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 very basic terms, and you'll understand why I am throwing them out in just a second. Any questions? This is a dry topic, and I'm trying to be as lively as possible, but it's accounting. There's so much excitement you can create with accounting. Okay, so, pardon? Exactly how old I'm 44. I will be one of those people. Oh my God, I'm getting warm here. Putting on this pod. Okay, so anyway, so there, as I mentioned, there's many software that I mentioned. QuickBooks, FreshBooks. The one that I want us to kind of play with today is Wave. And why? It's because it's free. QuickBooks, I think the subscription is $40 a month. FreshBook has different levels of subscription as well. With Wave, you can start with it and have all the functionality to start your business or to get familiar with cloud accounting free. It's also a Canadian company, which I'm very, very for. And I would love for you, if you have a laptop, I would love for you to go into this site. And then I am going to go on it as well. Oh yeah, we have the split screen. Oh, Wave app. Oh, hello. Here we go. So as you can see, when you type in Wave app, you're going to see Wave Financial for small business. So when we go in, so it's telling you to manage your money like a boss. And this is not a commercial. Obviously, I don't make any money because it's a free, it's a free app. But what I want you to do is I actually want you to sign up for it. I want you to use whatever email. And I want you to sign up for free. You can use like a Gmail address if you have I think some people have junk mail, Gmail addresses. Just use your junk mail just for fun, just to play with it. Just to get familiar with it. I'm going to use another account just for funsies. Which one was it? It was... Oh, what was my code? Of course not. This is not my laptop, so I don't have my password saved here. Where's the... Oh, where's the mouse? Here we go. Okay, I'm going to enter with my own. Okay, this is an old dashboard that I used to have. Okay. Okay. So is anybody are you guys already there in it? Yeah. So when you are, because I'm already signed in. It's just because this is not my laptop and I can't remember my passwords. Again, I'm aging myself. So when you go into it, it's going to tell you choose a starting point. It's going to tell you if you're a new business, a growing business. So start filling it out. Again, this is a dummy account. This is a dummy version for it. So start filling it in, and it's going to ask you as well what type of business you're in. If you are a product-based business, a service-based business, so on and so forth. Don't give it too much information. Again, it's a dummy account. No, there isn't. No. Actually, yes, you would be, but you would have to open one first. I think there is an option to do multiple. Yeah. Pardon, probably. So let me know when you're in the dashboard area. So it's just like filling in like whatever dummy information you want to fill in. Pardon me?
I have to get my confirmation.
Oh, okay. Yes. You're going to see something different to what's showing on my screen because this is already an open account. Again, I can't remember my dummy account email password. So once you fill in whatever they want you to fill in, you're going to go onto a dashboard that says connect like banking information, chart of accounts, like you get like 5 options. And what I want you to take a look at, and the reason why I stress the importance of a separate bank account is that the moment you use a system like this, you can actually digitally connect your business bank account with this software. So you're just basically, and you're not going to do it right now, obviously, because it's a dummy account. But that's what it means. It means that you can connect your bank account, you can connect your business credit card, you can even connect, if you manage your business, if you have an e-commerce business and you have Shopify, or if you use Stripe to get paid or PayPal to get paid by your clients, you can connect all of those accounts to this software. And what's going to happen is that anytime you make a transaction, say for your credit card, if you make an expense on your credit card, it's actually going to record it automatically. And all you need to do, okay, well, I'll continue in just a second. So connecting, so that's why it's important to have your own business bank account, because if you were to connect your personal bank account, it will record absolutely everything, and then you would have to go, line by line and delete the ones that are not for business, not for the business. So if you have a business bank account, then everything for your business get recorded, every expense. If you have, like a membership for subscription for your domain every year, whatever, it's going to get recorded. Everything is going to get recorded automatically. If you have a, revenue from your Shopify account, all of those transactions are actually going to get recorded automatically. So that's the importance of having a separate bank account for your business, whether it's a business or a personal, so long as it's completely separate from your own home finances. Another tab that you will see over there is the tab for chart of accounts. So when you hit that chart of accounts in the tab that you have there on the middle of your screen, do you see it? The chart of accounts tab? No? Oh, I wish I knew my passwords. So here we go. So here you can connect your credit card over here. So you connect your accounts and then you enter all your banking information. And then there's going to be another one where it's your chart of accounts, where you get to create your folders. So what are under my expenses, what are the different types of expenses that I'm going to have for my business? Under my revenue, what are the different types of revenue? It could be a product, it could be a service, it could be, a subscription, membership, if you're selling memberships, so on and so forth. Okay, perfect. Customize accounts. Okay, thank you. So customize account is the tab. Yeah, we're good. We're seeing it. Okay. So again, and this is just an opportunity for you to play around with the software. It's just a dummy account, so if you make a mistake, whatever. The other cool thing that you can do is that you can customize your own invoices. So there should be a section there as well, a tab, where you can actually send invoices from that particular account with your logo. You can upload your logo. You can actually create how your invoices are going to look. And then the most amazing thing, if you're into this, you can actually turn on the feature where you can accept payments by credit card. So, so then that way, when you create the invoice, you send it to your client. The client is going to get a tab where pay for this right now, and they can pay it by credit card. And because your accounts are connected, or that software is connected to your banking and to your credit card, it's actually going to get deposited automatically to your bank from the accounting system. So again, it's a way for you to be able to have everything under one roof, track expenses, track revenue, send out invoices, and eventually, if you end up having staff as well, you can have a payroll account and pay them from there as well. And the sky is the limit. I know that in order for you to accept credit card payments through the accounting system, obviously, it's the cost of running a business. They're gonna charge you a percentage. I think it's like a 2.3. It varies. American Express is a bit more expensive, but it's like a 2.6, I think, percent for regular credit card expenses plus a fee, which they're very common. Like they're not different from what is out there. And then if you want to have staff and you want to have them on payroll, you can do it through the accounting system. That's also an additional fee. So the way this company makes money, obviously, is by you accepting payments via credit card and you having staff. But if you can, decide not to accept credit card payments, turn off that feature and still, be able to use most of the features 100% for free. So my idea today was just to introduce the software, introduce the idea of automating as much as possible, of connecting your business with your bank, and making sure that all of those transactions, either expenses or revenue, they can get recorded automatically. So you don't have to constantly be adding all of those lines onto an Excel sheet. If Excel works for you, great. But if you are ready for, a new challenge and to automate things, this might be a great alternative. Any questions? No, what's up?
If I'm using this, do I need to do Excel?
No. No, you don't need Excel. You don't want to complicate your life. So no. So this is instead of Excel. So if you're used to your Excel tracking, there's gonna be a learning curve. So that's why I recommend always have the dummy account, get familiar with it. But the idea would be to replace your Excel and to give you more functionality too. Yeah. Well, if Excel is working, then by all means keep doing Excel. And it depends. Like if you're going to be adding more lines of business and more revenue, and you have plans of growing more and maybe hiring people, then you might want to think about cloud accounting. But if it's working for you, amazing. And actually, we have somebody who does bookkeeping. I don't even know why she's in this class. She's intimidating me. You could probably teach this class better than I can. Yeah. Okay, so when you are choosing a class, oh yes, a question.
Stuff, like the invoices that are already sent and stuff. How do I import that into this system?
That's a great question. Do you know how to answer that one? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So whether you hire someone
Mm-hmm.
yeah, because I'm just like, everything seems so automated. It's just like invoices. Do you want to send one? And I'm like, okay, but what about like the 10 I've already sent this year? Like,
yeah. You just add them manually on their, well, you could even create an invoice if you want and then just close it as paid already. Yeah. You don't have to necessarily send it to the person. You just create it in your system manually and then close it as paid and then tell the system it was paid on this day via credit card or via, transfer. And then that's it. And then it's closed. No, not your personal. No.
Like everything that I pay for, like my Adobe subscription, my website, my Dropbox. I'm like, I'm not go into all of those.
It's a commitment. It is a commitment. At the beginning, it is a lot of work. Especially when you're doing the transition going from personal to a separate accounting. Yes, the beginning is going to be a lot of work of changing all of your subscriptions and everything. But trust me, particularly now where you're that you're just like, well, not just, but you're transitioning onto becoming a full-time, business owner. I think right now is the right time to do it. It may sound like a lot of work right now, but trust me, as you grow and as you get busier, it's going to be even harder to do that transition. It may be like short-term pain, long-term gain, the way I see it. But it'll be much easier down the road where you're going to be able to just look at the dashboard and then see, okay, I've sent 10 invoices, and 3 of them haven't been paid. I can just automatically send an email reminder to these clients, or so it's much easier. But yeah, the beginning of transitioning from what you're doing right now to this, it's going to be a little bit painful. I'm not going to lie. No, so that was the same question. So no, it doesn't have to be a business account if you're operating under your legal name. Like if the business is your name, like it's your legal name, you haven't like, and to you it doesn't matter, then you can open a personal bank account. So long as you're operating under your legal name, then yes, you can do that. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, like I just sometimes on invoices I write Shelby List photo. Sometimes I write.
You know how you can go around that? You can open the bank account as Shelby whatever, and then for the business name, I mean, nobody's going to have the same business name as yours because it's your legal name, but you can put operating as Shelby's photography. Yeah. It's like a runaround way of doing it. Yeah. Yeah. When you are choosing your cloud-based accounting, make sure that you are looking at what your business does right now and how you get paid. So, and make sure that the software has integrations for the different tools that you use. So if you use Shopify, for example, as your business tool, make sure that whatever accounting software you're using has seamless integration, which means that if a customer buys from your Shopify business, that transaction is integrated, has integration, and it gets recorded automatically onto your accounting system. Not all of them. So Wave you will use Zapier. So you need like a little piece of code to integrate it. Whereas QuickBooks Online, QuickBooks Online is completely integrated, completely integrated. You don't have to do anything. That one is a little bit more expensive. Like it is $40 a month, QuickBooks Online. With Wave, you can integrate it, but you'll need like a piece of code and they'll tell you how to do it anyways. So if you have PayPal, if you have Stripe, there's a lot of makers who use Stripe as their point of sale whenever they're going to shows and whatnot. Then make sure that Square account, you connected with your accounting software as well, so that all of those transactions are recorded automatically. Oh, that's amazing. Amazing. Perfect. Yeah, yeah, but I do know that there are a lot of makers. I see them with the square. And again, with Wave, I believe it's also through a Zapier integration. QuickBooks is seamless. It's a plug and play thing. So, okay, so yes, but how do you deal with the receipts? Because you still have to keep those receipts. I believe it's for 7 years or something crazy for CRA purposes. So how do you deal with that clutter? And the recommendation is there are receipt scanning apps where you can actually take a picture of the receipt and then it will get uploaded automatically to your accounting software. So again, you're going to use the app to take the photo, then, it's going to automatically read everything from the receipt, like the vendor, the tax amount, everything, and then automatically is going to convert that information and upload it to your accounting system. And it's almost like magic. Like magic, it'll appear on your expenses in your accounting system. So the recommendation is to, and then that way you have a digital imprint of that receipt, and you don't have to actually keep the paper receipts, because a lot of the times those paper receipts, they kind of fade. The filing cabinet full of receipts. You don't need to do that, thank goodness. So just using that photo app. Now, Wave has an app. So Wave actually has a downloadable app where it gives you a unique email address. And what you do is you take that picture of that receipt, and then you send that picture to the email address that Wave gave you. And that email address is connected to your accounting software, like specific to your company. So you just send it to that email, and then it's like magic. It's sorcery. I kid you not. You send it to that email address, and then it appears in your accounting system, and you don't have to enter anything, which is beautiful. And because they gave you an email address, sometimes we get receipts via email, right, from our vendors. Like if we have a subscription or whatnot, we get the invoice via an email. So all you do is actually forward that email to that email address, your unique email address, and it'll get uploaded, all the information to the accounting system, which is beautiful. So you don't have to, enter, you don't forget, hopefully, and then you're not dealing with this mess over here for receipts. In terms of what are those apps, so as I mentioned, Wave has its own. You can just use it from your phone. You download the app. QuickBooks has its own as well. If you're using QuickBooks, obviously everything's super integrated. There's another one called HubDoc, which you can integrate to whatever accounting system you have. And there's, you just Google receipt scanning tool or app, and you'll be able to get more. There's Receipt Bank, Dex, there's so many of them, but these are some of the ones that I've used myself. Any questions? No? Yeah. No stupid question.
Literally keep, like I don't, I just look at my bank and go like, I bought this.
Yeah, you have to keep receipts for auditing. So
like most of my expenses, they're just like something that comes off my credit card. Like I pay for like online storage or something like that. Like I just get it. Like I don't go out and buy much.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. So for those receipts, you're supposed to keep them if you get audited. That's why they tell you to keep, I think, seven years worth of receipts in case you get audited. So that's why having a way to capture those receipts, to keep those receipts electronically, is so much better. But normally, technically speaking, yes, you need to keep them. But if you have the digital, nobody tells you this. But yeah, so that's why, Receipt Bank or Wave or HubDocs or whatever, it's a great way to store them electronically, so you don't have to worry about that. Okay, so in an ideal world, as a business owner, this is what I would recommend, a bank account that is only for your business. Whether you choose to, get a personal bank account or a business bank account, it doesn't matter. So long as it's a separate bank account, this is, again, an ideal world. Then you would need a payment solution, which is how are people going to pay you, right? So there could be Stripe, it could be PayPal, it could be Shopify. It could be EFTs if EFTs is how you get paid. It could also be the accounting software could be one of your payment solutions. So again, a bank account, a payment solution, or a way for people to pay you, and then some sort of accounting system. Whether you choose to do Excel, totally fine, or or some cloud-based accounting software, totally fine, so long as you have something, so long as you're keeping track of all of your expenses and your revenue. And then a receipt scanning app. So in an ideal world, that would be, it's not a trifecta, a quadrifecta. And that would be like a great arsenal of tools for you to have a pretty good business. And obviously, like I said at the beginning, the best tool is the one that you actually use. So you can have all of these tools, but if you don't use them, I mean, they're worth nothing, right? So again, the recommendation is to find the solutions that actually integrate with your accounting software if you choose to use a software. And then the highly, highly, highly recommended is to use them, because if you don't use them, well, they're not going to be that useful. And that is the end of this presentation. So thank you so much for coming. If you guys have any other questions, I am happy to answer them.